Hey, what's going on? So today's episode is brought to you by Extreme Media Group. If you need podcast studio rentals, you need photography, videography, or aerial drone footage, get a hold of them at Extreme Media Group. You will not be disappointed. As a matter of fact, this podcast is provided by Extreme Media Group.
You know, he passed away a few years ago, and we missed like 13 years of our life because I was just kind of mad at him. You know, he beat me when I was a kid. My mom watched it and didn't do shit. You know, I don't have a relationship with my biological mother anymore because it's kind of like you can only play the pity card for so long. And I think too many people in our world.
So what's going on, everybody? So on today's show, we have none other than Jon Storey. What's going on, Jon?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. So, man, I see you drive up in this really nice car. What are you driving?
Ferrari 488.
Man, that thing's sick, bro. Does that thing have airbags? What's going on with that?
Yeah, so it's a funny story. It was owned by Too Short, the rapper before me.
Really? D Too Short.
D Too Short.
That's the Bay Area.
Yeah, and then my buddies that own Luxury Auto Collection, I know Nick and John there, play golf with them all the time, and just unloaded one of my other cars and kind of wanted to get back to the exotic size. I mean, I buy that car for advertising, get it out there, just let people know it's a fun-ass ride. I had a Lamborghini before, but I'm going to take the Ferrari over any car I've owned so far.
Yeah, but it's not only for marketing and business, a big tax write-off, but it's a testament of the hard work you put into your industry, into your skill set. Hard work pays off, and you get the reward.
Yeah, amen to that, for sure.
I mean, we get the reward. When we work hard, we get the reward. So if you don't have the reward, maybe look at your work ethic and ask yourself, am I working hard enough for that reward, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they just hand out Ferraris as participation trophies in the work space today.
Yeah,
I think you got to kind of work for it.
I don't have one.
Right. Well, you can afford 10 of them, so you're fine.
I wish. So, why is everybody laughing? We have a whole audience here. No. So, Jon, we met each other a few months back, and I wanted to just go through with the audience a little bit about your life story, because we see Jon on Instagram, marketing, the coach, flashy, nice cars, and what I want to do is I want to know, Jon, coming up, your upbringing, what led you to here? Because where you're at today is a super successful story, and I think everyone needs to know, the upbringing so they can relate to themselves.
Yeah, man, I think it all starts like at home and kind of the stuff you did. So obviously I have a weird thing of like, my biological mother, my stepdad basically raised me, real dads in my life, kind of hit and miss there. But for me, at 12 years old is when it all started. So my stepdad, from the time I was 12 to 18, I'd already done 200 real estate transactions. People think that's crazy, but he taught me ROI. I did every house that they did on the tax to what they made per penny. Taught me how land development worked, how when you add certain things on property, what kind of homes you can fit. Started framing homes, doing construction at 12. At 16, I was cleaning up job sites. The entrepreneur mindset created on that. And, he would wake me up at 4 a.m. in the morning, 3:30, 4 a.m. at 12.
Yeah.
You know what 12-year-olds waking up at that time, other than play video games. And he's like, if you install this work ethic today, when you're older, you'll thank me, and one day you'll realize it. He goes, but by noon, you're pretty much done for the day and going to join the afternoon, where a normal working person is getting off at 5, and by the time they get 6, they eat dinner, they're in bed. They don't enjoy the day.
Yeah, noon is like lunchtime.
Yeah, and you're done. You're done, you're working, and, my stepfather taught me just a ton of shit. I mean, we didn't always have the best relationship, let's just put it that way, but I don't think anybody always has the best relationship with somebody, right? But as far as when I really look back, like when people say, oh man, he's not selling homes right now or whatever it was, I'm like, dude, I did 200 fucking transactions before I was 18.
Yeah.
From start to finish, literally from the land development, getting into the keys, selling their old house to get them into a new build construction and everything. I mean, I've done more before I was 18 than most agents in what I do have done in a lifetime before, just besides writing a contract.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I understood systems, efficiency,
Work ethic.
yeah, work ethic, and checklists. Like my stepdad had a checklist for everything he did. And for me, I have a checklist and a flow for everything I do in my business. I call them critical tasks.
Yep.
But that's kind of where it all started, man. I mean, just starting there. And when I think back, and, you know, he passed away a few years ago, and we missed like 13 years of our life because I was just kind of mad at him. You know, he beat me when I was a kid. My mom watched it and didn't do shit, you know.
Yeah.
I don't have a relationship with my biological mother anymore because it's kind of like you can only play the pity card for so long. And I think too many people in our world play the pity card for too long. And I've been through some shit. Life happens, but I think they're lessons.
They are lessons. So where's your biological dad?
He's here. He lives here in Arizona. We've kind of been, you know, touch and go the last 9-10 months. You know,
Okay.
I mean, you know, people are just weird, dude. I just tell you what, man. Like, I stopped paying their shit, and they can agree to whatever it is. And you know, my dad's a fantastic human being, but I mean, he's just like my best friend, but he never really taught me anything in life, you know. And I don't know if that struck him weird now that doing better in my life and doing things, and I don't know, like you try to have the conversation and people don't want to have it. It's no different than a friend or brother or sister. Or
You're saying because that conversation's on a different level?
Yeah.
Because your likings, your dislikings are completely different. Your tastes that are at a higher level, hence the Ferrari, hence the lifestyle, the kicks. You always have different kicks on. Where do you get your kicks, by the way? Like I see what all kinds
I got
of different...
people all the time that'll hit me up and say they got, you know, hey, this site's got it. There's always sites that got
Yeah, because
deals
I'm
for-
like looking at DSW for your Nikes and I don't see them there.
Oh man, there's certain apps, the Nike apps, the drops, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a shoe guy, so I don't. Other than that, I'm shoes, watch, a couple watches, and cars is what I like, which is normal, you know, guy shit. But no, I don't think I lost my dad because of the flashy shit. I think people in life don't realize how much you put into a relationship. So there's a couple key principles that I live by. It's who controls your time and who you give your time to will determine your success.
That's crucial. Who controls your time and who you give your time to. Yeah, that's huge because, like, well, if you reverse that is, if you're giving your time to the wrong person, they will take control of your life.
Right.
They will beat you down, use you and abuse you and toss you, right?
Right.
So it's very important that we know who our surroundings are, who do we want to be around, are they a positive influence on our life, do they support us, are they cheerleading for us, right? Are they, you know, like we're all on Instagram and stuff and we're like liking each other's posts and stuff like that. We're cheerleading for each other, you know, and it's like, why do you even want to be around someone that ain't doing that, that don't want to see you succeed and grow in life? You know what I mean?
Well, I think there's too many people out there that all you see is these people with success, and you don't see like, shit, man, they go through like even family bullshit and friend bullshit, and everybody has this glitz and glam, and you know, I try to come on these and just try to be a real human being, which I feel I can relate to more people versus, you know, great, I rolled up in a Ferrari, but I don't, the car I could take a, you know, care less about it. What I want people to know is that, like, dude, like, most people are not successful because of those two key things. And it could be family, it could be your closest friends, it could be people you work with that are trying to keep you down. I did that when I left a position. Those fuckers are still doing the same job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, they never like anything. They just watch, you know, like waiting for you to fail.
Yeah.
You know, we just live in a weird world right now where nobody's happy for each other sometimes, and then you get the key group that is.
What's crazy is, like, we're on this topic, and what from what I've seen, like, you know, in my short life, because I'm not that old, no.
29 again?
44, but is usually the haters are the closest people to you. You know, because it doesn't really, and they hurt you the most, right? Because it doesn't matter, someone from freaking Chicago that you don't know will talk crap, because they'll go on our YouTubes and all that stuff and just talk all kinds of crap, right? And I'm like, whatever, dude. But when someone close, like, doesn't support you, or they're hating on you, or like they're, you know, you probably had it already, you know, oh, he got that Ferrari, and, well, you know, he don't need a Ferrari. Well, I don't need the freaking refrigerator, you know, but I want one. 'Cause I want some cold food.
Right.
you know, and it's just sad because that it has to be that way. But I think that's, and then what happens is like as human beings, we get numb. Like I know for myself, I've gotten numb to like people hating on me, or maybe my family's members, or my wife's family members. It's like, and you get numb to it to where you don't even want to be around a person. Where it's even hard to love the person. It could be your sibling, or like you said, a parent. Like, you know, it's like if you can't support me, I can't even love you the right way if you can't support me. But yet they'll want your support.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that's why I have multiple coaches, I have multiple mentors, I have good friends in my life that explain things that have been through stuff. And I was talking to a friend about the situation, and he's just like, dude, he's like, they don't have any regret because you won't keep reaching out. Stop reaching out. See what happens. Well, I did.
Okay.
And there was nothing that happened in 9 months. You know what I mean? Like, and then hopefully I'm gonna send my dad this fucking podcast so he can listen to it. But
what's up?
I mean, you try to talk to a human being, and there's always an excuse, right? So that's one thing that I didn't take from him as a characteristic. I mean, he's a great man, athletic ability, but no relationship with me growing up, no relationship with my grandkids. His grandkids, excuse me, and my kids. And, and I'm not, people come on podcasts and want to be inspiring, but I'm telling you, like, real life facts that you see behind the scenes of going, well, this fucker deals with some things, you know what I mean? But I have such good friends that I realized that, because I was beating myself up, like, what did I do wrong? Like, why am I not trying? And then when we had a conversation, I went to our phone, I'm like, you tell me one time in 9 months when you've asked me to go do something, and I've constantly asked you.
Yeah. I
mean, the straw that breaks the camel's back is when it was like, hey, I can't even, I'm too busy for the entire month. You're retired and you're 74 years old. What are you doing?
You're too busy for the whole month?
Yeah. So it's just, these are things that I write down that I think a lot of people don't address. Like, people are more likely to put out their relationship issues. Like I watched some people I know recently just go through a breakup. It's like, no one fucking cares, dude. Like people break up, people get divorced, people go through shit. Like, and half the time they get back together.
Yeah.
And then, then you look like an idiot. But at the end of the day, it's going, stay in your lane, control what you do. And I try to be positive. Like I've had shit happen, recently a couple months ago. And people are like, man, you're really positive for what happens. I'm like, that was yesterday. Today's a new day. I learned something from yesterday. I'm not going to let, re-step into that situation. I'm going to learn to control things better. And that was a life lesson. But yeah. I think there's a lot of life lessons that we're taught where people are out and, they're partying on the weekend, but then they go back to work on Monday or whatever it is, and they're still miserable, still can't afford the things that they want to do. And for me, I just wanted freedom. I wanted to be able to go do things, have nice cars, not live outside my means by any sort, but go just not retire at 65 and just be like, I worked and now I'm going to live life, versus by the time I'm 65, I'm going to be doing a lot of cool shit.
Yeah, you're living life the whole way through.
Right. And I think there's too many false big entrepreneurs that are out there that are an anomaly of like, oh my God, they're killing it. They're on stage and all these people like fanboy about them, right? Sorry to burst your bubble. That's probably never going to fucking be you. Okay. But can you make $1 million or $2 million a year? Yeah, you can make $1 million or $2 million a year. Like that's something that you can definitely obtain if you really want to put your task to it. But at what cost? How much time? How much do you lose with your family and your friends and whatever it is? And are you back to that where I'm retired at 65 and I made all this money but didn't do shit in life? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Body's broken down.
So you look at a lot of these people. I mean, you look at some of the guys that are, late 50s, 60s, and they're still on stages pushing their product and shit. And it's like, what are you teaching a young entrepreneur? Is that they have to grind for the next 40 years to be happy?
Dude, there's a lot of them out there. Like, into their 70s, 80s.
Right.
There's a few in their 80s that are out there freaking hitting the circuit,
yeah,
coaching, mentoring, inspirational speakers. And it's like, just like you said, it's like, you're inspiring me, but like, dude, you should have like slowed down like 25 years ago.
Well, people don't see that. So young entrepreneurs cannot see that. They get so wrapped up with the fame and the private jets and all the shit, not realizing like, bro, they're never off. Like they're never, ever present and enjoying life. And
it's kind of like that singer that like was really good and he's on tour like and going to the celebrity theater.
Right.
Like he's like 72 still rapping. It's
right.
like, dude, you screwed it up.
Yeah, I mean, at some point there's got to be a stop button. And so for me, couple weeks, I'm going back home to Utah to hang out with my buddies, play golf for, a few days, and then come back. And that's kind of like my reset. I love going up and see my buddies up there. They're just down to earth, chill guys.
Nice.
Happy for you. The happiest guys you can imagine. Like, dude, you're doing great. You're making it. It's awesome. I got some really good friends here. I got a lot of good friends all around. But I think as I've gotten older, and it's, it's sad to say that as you get older, you're like, shit, you start thinking about things more. But I'm more guarded on my time and non-negotiables than I think I've ever been in any year of my life at my age to this year.
Yeah. So when you say non-negotiables, for those listening, you're talking like, hey, I'm not going to do this. You're not going to give into certain things, certain people, certain ethics, or what are some of those non-negotiables?
Well, it's interesting because when you look at the person that just works or whatever it is, or a lot of people that are miserable, they have this thing called Sunday Fun Day. Right? I haven't had a Sunday Fun Day, and I stopped this 4.5 years ago.
Okay.
I haven't had a Sunday Fun Day in 4.5 years, and the way I do that is I put critical tasks that I need to complete on a Monday that are non-negotiables, which are, I have, my one-on-one clients on a Monday and Tuesday call, and why would I get on a call with them when they're paying me all this money and I'm hungover?
Nice. Yeah. Totally.
And a lot of people do that in the industry. They'll go to work Monday, tired as shit, hungover, and they realize why they can't advance. Well, how would you feel if you're paying an employee that and they come in, 70% of the time tired as shit or whatever it is because they're out there? And I'm not mad that people are living their life at some point, but put yourself in your employer's shoes. They gave you the opportunity. They're paying your house payment. They're paying for your cars.
Totally.
They're doing the things. And so when I looked at it, I said, it's, I've got to be better about that. And so it kind of leads to where Mondays and Tuesdays are my grind day, in a sense, what they would say. And then I can determine what I want to do for the rest of the week. So if I don't have, let's say, a podcast or, I'm flying over the country doing speaking engagements, I'm done with the week primarily Tuesday by 11 a.m.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good.
I mean, I still do my critical tasks every morning that are non-negotiables that make me money, put, content out there or whatever it is, or build systems. But I try to structure my life to where I can throw the football with my son when we're home. I can tease him when I'm home. I can hang out with my daughters and talk with them and have conversations. And, it's pretty cool. Like, I told my daughter the other day, we had these goofy $5 sunglasses. And I'm like, do you just want to go for a ride and go listen to music? She's like, yeah. So we put on goofy $5 sunglasses and drove around and laughed and listened to music. And she loves Drake. But we just kind of did all that. And it was fun, man. It's just shit you can't get back while other people are working. And it's, it's no disrespect. I'm not saying like, hey, go just quit your job today. But
quit your job.
But yeah, quit your fucking job. I mean, you lose that job, you're replaced tomorrow. I mean, if you're good at what you do, build a company to where you can be a consultant.
Yeah. Or I mean, I'll say this too, is some people, it's hard for them to build a company, but maybe be a number two,
Yeah.
You can still make a lot of money working underneath someone that's good. You got to bust your ass. You may even work harder than the owner.
Right.
But the reward will be there. It should be anyways, right? I like what you said though, is about the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Sunday. Oh, it's happy days, huh?
Yeah, right. Yeah. That dated you.
we talk. I know. Those were reruns when I was a kid. That's crazy. So on my last podcast, we talked about peak performance and stuff like that. And what you're saying is, in order for you to be a peak performer, there's certain things you have to do, certain things you just can't do, and you can't negotiate those things. Like you said, like your time is your time, and I like that because so many people out there, including myself, is we give into little areas of our life, these little habits that start taking from us, right? And then you complain, like you said, on a Monday, why you're not at your best. I was telling one of the guys yesterday, and I'm like, dude, you look so freaking tired. Your week's just starting. Like my week has never ended for like 15 years.
Right.
No, but I'm like,
true story.
What are you tired from? And he's like, well, I don't even know. I'm like,
he
dude,
knows.
I know exactly.
Oh, he knows.
Long night, right? And I'm like, dude, you should be ready. Monday's the beginning of your week. Be ready and at your peak, ready to crush it. You know what I mean? There should be no excuses for anybody, especially if you have a job, like you said, is you owe it to your employer to give them your very best. That's what they hired you for, right? Or if you have a customer, if you're an owner, an entrepreneur, solopreneur, and you have a customer, you owe it to your customer to give it your very best. Like you said, is your clients right there on Monday and Tuesday. If you don't give them your best, they're not going to hire you. They're not going to keep paying you. They're not going to believe a word you're saying. If you're like, hey, go live your best life, and if you want a Ferrari, you need to work more and do this and that. And when you're freaking drunk, hungover, and acting a fool,
I'm not saying you have to grind and you have to work and do all these things to get to where it is. I mean, you do to a certain point, but not forever. And I think that's the misconception with a lot of these coaches and whatever it is. It's like, holy shit, you always got to be on, and holy shit, you know what I mean? And it's great. They got a story, and congratulations, but you're like 0.001% of the population that's actually going to do that.
Yeah. No.
And the rest of the people, like I'm saying, look, go make a good amount of money and then go enjoy your Sunday Fundays knowing like, hey, you know what? Maybe I just don't go as hard. Maybe I do it once a month. But I see people all the time that'll be, like, oh man, it must be nice to be you, or oh, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, you're fucking off 24/7. And your life is controlled from the moment, like literally. So here's a crazy statistic I gave this. I broke it down to a person the other day that wanted a consultation. I said there's 168 hours in a week. Okay, so let's just say between drive time and you working, you're at 60 hours. Then 7 hours a night of sleeping, which is 49. Then you eat, prepare food 10 hours of the week. Then you've got miscellaneous of 4. Then you've got miscellaneous of family time 2 hours a day, right? By the time you're down to where out of the 168 hours, after it's done, you have 25 hours left. You are literally only living 15% of your life, not dictated by an event or someone else. Mm-hmm. And people don't recognize that.
Well, and the 15 hours that are left, they're
15%.
Yeah, so the 15%, they're freaking watching some dumb show on TV, not learning anything.
Right, and so when you break it down to people that way, and I never understood it that way until I actually, opened my own business. I was in the rat race of just repetitiveness, and it took a couple of years, even opening my own company, to get out to one day I was like, holy shit, like, this is actually a lot of fun. This is really cool. Like, I'm literally helping people, like real estate agents, and, change their lives and make more money and build systems and get time back, versus a lot of the other coaches where it's like, grind, buy, whatever it is. And I'm like, no, dude, there's a systematically way to do it. You just have to be dedicated to it. But I think, I don't know, we just live in it's a weird world. That's all I got to say.
No, I agree. I think there's just I have a little difference. I wouldn't say opinion, but depending on the industry you're in as well.
Correct.
I'm in a industry that's labor driven. So we have a lot of team members.
Right.
A lot. And so that the grind looks a little bit different, right?
Yeah, you can't just be like, all right, imaginary that wall is going to be sheetrock. No, you got to put the sheetrock up. So
I don't do it, but yeah,
you know what I mean.
But we got to manage the team.
Right.
So, but even it still all correlates. Is like, listen, be at your best. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And make time, like you said, make time to get away from work or whatever it is, to enjoy with your family, enjoy with your wife and your husband. Because if you're married to your business only, whatever it is, eventually the business will fail you, and your spouse will leave you.
Right.
And next thing you know, you end up with nothing. That's the thing I'm trying to avoid. Like, I seen that happen, John, with my biological father. Like, he worked so hard till he died. It's been like 5 years now. Successful.
To you.
Yeah.
You think he was successful, but was he really?
My siblings, he didn't raise me. I met him when I was 25. My siblings that he raised kind of like hated him. Right. Like, I loved them because I met him at a different time of his life. You know what I mean? But I think deep inside, he didn't take enough time to himself. I think he had a lot of regret because he only worked. I think he missed a lot of opportunities. Yep. I met him when I was 25, Right. So, I probably got the best out of him from all my siblings because it was way later. I didn't have to get raised by him. Although I had a screwed up life, possibly because of that.
I think a lot of us have screwed up life. I think we're people that just need to address it. Like, hey, you know what? Kind of fucked up. We're not going to always fix it 100%, but if we can get 80% of the way there,
totally,
it's going to be better than living on a crutch of your life for forever.
Yeah.
And I think, People don't understand it, man. It's just people. If you're looking at all these speakers and you're doing the shit, and I'm gonna keep bringing this up. Everybody's got skeletons in the closet.
Hey, I just want you to say someone's name.
Everybody's got some demons and shit going out there.
I just want to know who you're talking about.
I know a lot of shit on a lot, you know what I mean? But I am fucking far from perfect human being.
Yeah.
And I don't ever claim to be, but it's just interesting how many people put it out there, or how many people, like if an event happens, they get on the internet and they talk shit, and they're talking shit about somebody else, and it's like, dude, you don't want your shit out there, so I'd shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things about a lot of people that want to run their fucking mouth, and I'm not about that life or whatever it is. Like that's why I'm not dropping names. I'm not that person, right?
Yeah, no, I know you wouldn't.
But these people, they're gonna watch this shit that know me, that you're watching to wait for somebody to fail, or you got a comment that you need to say. Just know, not being a real person has determined your success of happiness of where you're at today. And you're so worried about somebody else and the shit they're doing versus worrying about your own self. And I think what social media did was it destroyed that. And it started with MySpace, when you had your top 6 friends. And if you moved one from first to third, it was like, bro, so we're not, like, what happened? I'm not in first place anymore? Or you know what I mean? That's where it all started with social media.
You know when someone broke up?
Yeah, dude, their girl was gone, or you know, and then you block somebody. But if I want to say where like the anxiety of social media started, it started with MySpace and how you ranked your top friends. And that's what they went away with that. I mean, now, you know, it's great if you use it as a tool. Like I tell a story of my life. The number one thing that I use social media for now is writing a biography of my life.
Yeah.
So when my kids have kids, they're going to look and say, who is Grandpa John or you know, or John, you know, whatever it is. And they can go look. Like I had a cousin just reach out to me. Well, cousins, so second, whatever, third cousin reach out to me, you know, and he's trying to get out of the story life of the North Dakota, whatever it is. And he reached out and wants to be an entrepreneur and shit like that. But, you know, not knowing that whole family looks at me like, holy shit, like I've kind of made something of myself in a sense, but I don't really look at it that way. I look at like, I'm just enjoying life. And I'm just trying to lead by example in the different ways, but it's fun, man. Keep my son's 5, starting to throw the fucking football.
Nice.
Love it.
Nice. I like that you're challenging yourself to be better, you know, because I think like there's a fine line too, because when you start having some success, you can easily become selfish, right?
Guilty.
We all, especially
Guilty.
Men. Well, women too, right? And so I think watching you from a distance, I like what I see. Like as far as you're interacting with your family, you're interacting with your customers, you're sharing your time of who you are, and that's a realness that I see in you versus other people. Like you do see it. Like people will put posts of their family. You're like, really? Come on, that like you're paying your kids to smile with you, right? Or you see some dudes, you don't even see their family and no post ever. Like they can be on trips and shit, and the kids aren't even in any of the pictures.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I just kind of try to have a balance, man. I mean, I think each one of my kids, and I know we talked about this, has had a very great impact on me. And the one thing that I've learned, man, is that your kids never leave you because they're always a part of you. They're a part of your DNA. Relationship-wise, friends, family, wives, husbands, boyfriend, girlfriends, they can leave. Mm-hmm. But your kids are always going to be a part of you. You know what I mean? And I when I said I was guilty of being selfish or whatever it was, I was gone all the time. I was traveling all over the country, you know, making money, doing all the things, thought it was cool, you know. You see all the like the guys we're talking about, like here I'm at another event, whatever it is. And, you know, lately I've been doing that, but it's just a different area in the real estate community. But for several years, I was just kind of chilling at home, you know. So I got to enjoy watching them from diapers to walking and see their first steps. Where a lot of these guys don't ever see that shit.
Yeah.
You know what? And I remember that my daughter Savannah, when she's 7 now, and when she was 4, just about 4, she started getting really upset when I would leave. Like even before me leaving to this podcast, she hurries and comes downstairs, gives me a big hug. You know, every time I come, she's just, and that's why I always call her, I tell her she's my favorite, you know? But it's funny is that she taught me this, is that you never give up on something, because I remember I would always be like, "Are you my babe?" No, I love mommy. I mean, dude, we're not like, this wasn't like a 30-day thing. This was over a year of every day. And she denied me every day. Nope, I love mom. Okay. So I'm coming home from Vegas, and I tell the story all the time because I just love it. I got a bouquet of flowers. Clint and I are going to go on date night. And I walk in the door, and she's standing right there. And she's like, "Daddy, for me?" And I'm like, thinking like, I'm not even your babe. Like, I've asked you for years. So I'm going, am I your babe? And she goes, "Yeah, you're my babe." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, they're for you." Okay. So follow up. So if you follow me, and you probably see a story or have seen a post, when I travel a lot, what do I always do? I send Savannah flowers. So for the last 3+ years, I've always sent her flowers. And I'll say, and she knows when they get to the house immediately who they're from. But what we need to find in any type of business is that not all customers are the same. Not all people are the same. Each one of my kids respond differently to different things. So you have to find down like what's going to make that connection, where a lot of times people are saying they're having connection with kids by like, oh, we're hanging out or we're traveling or we're doing all these trips. Well, some kids don't want to fucking do that.
Yeah.
And so I've learned to just slow down and find the connection with my son, throw the football, mess around. You know, he's at that age. My daughter's 13, be the cool dad, you know, show up in the Ferrari, picking her up, dropping her off to school now, you know, get her some cool shoes and you know, and put her on my Instagram so she gets to have fun like that. So she's and, you know, we're at different stages. And I just feel like some people are just so repetitive and people said, well, no, I took my son to football practice and did all this shit. Right. I get that you did that. I get that parents taxi their kids everywhere. But did you truly find out what made them trigger to where they actually loved you and actually fucking cared about you? And the flower thing is the most important thing. So when I'm gone, I send them. Colby, like FaceTiming, get him some cool stuff that he wants. Macy, she likes to FaceTime. Like last time I was in Utah, they were singing the song, you know, Brown Eyed Girl. So I FaceTime my daughter. She's in a car full of her friends that they just got home from the lake. And I'm singing to my daughter loud on FaceTime. And you can tell she's kind of like, is my dad really doing this right now? And I'm like, yeah, I'm singing this song to you because I'm thinking of you.
Yeah.
And I think it's not just like taxing your kids to their next game or being present at a game. It's the things in between that fill the gaps, right? Instead of always going for the home run, hit a lot of singles, hit a lot of bunts.
I like that.
It'll go a long ways.
I like that. And that way, because I think sometimes what happens is, and I'm guilty of this, is, you know, you don't spend enough time with your kids and then you try to buy that moment.
You're Disneyland. You're a Disneyland parent.
I'm guilty of it. I'm totally guilty of it.
I think everybody is. I was. Shit.
For me, I think the thing that I had to do, because I am a workaholic, is the best thing for me was I integrated my kids and brought them into the business. Right. So they can learn, so I could be close to them. You know, when we built the house, they all got bathrooms. That way they don't have to hurry up and try to ship out. You know, they're older, right? Right. So I'm trying to do certain things to keep them around, you know, because we growing the company, man, the first 5, 6, 7 years, it was working 18 hours a day, you know.
Yep. And 6 years. Yeah. I've been doing it for, well, my own company, but in the industry, you know, long ass time. But owning your own shit's different than working for somebody. Oh, you got to make it happen, right? And so bringing the kids in, so like, you know, for you watching is, if you are an entrepreneur or something and you're having a hard time, you know, connecting or something like that, you know, integrate them, bring them into the business, show them. That's how you can spend time with them. It ain't always the most quality time, right? But you're there. But it's closer and closer, you know. So let me ask you a question. You got your kids here.
Yeah, they're all here. All 4 of them are here.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Yeah. How often do you do family lunch?
Not often, to tell you the truth. Well, I mean,
so why don't you make it as a non-negotiable?
We try on Sundays.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
So let me give you, do you take a shit? Do you try taking a shit or you take a shit?
Depends if I'm constipated.
But that's a true question because.
Yeah, no, it's true.
This is important for people watching this podcast. Here you are saying, hey, my kids are here. I'm trying to bring them in. You're trying to be better. You're trying not to be the dad that you were at 25, right? And this is where I coach on. I'm going, so your kids are here. I ask when you go, how many times you've been, you know, how many times you go to lunch? You're like, not that often. Well, then why don't you make it a non-negotiable?
Yeah, I like it. I'm listening to everything you're saying.
Do you own the company?
No, yeah, totally.
Then you can do whatever the fuck you want.
I can. Yeah.
So listen,
I like it.
You have to have. So those are part of my non-negotiables.
Make that time. Boom.
If you're committed to it, nothing takes the place of that. Because what are your kids gonna remember? That they had a job, or that, dude, every week my dad made it important
We dipped out.
that we dipped out and we either had a family dinner, or that we had a lunch during the week, a quick lunch, or that. Whatever it is, they're going to remember that, not that they had a paycheck that paid their bills.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
So those are things when I talk about like non-negotiables. Those are the things like when I am home and I'm not traveling. Colby and I throw the football nonstop at the house. Savannah and I will talk about stuff, and she'll show me her stuff, and I always tell her how she's my baby, she's my favorite. Macy, she's a teenager. If she can just get out of the room to eat, that's kind of where we're happy with at that point, We feel like, but when she wants to go to a friend's house, I'm always trying to be like, well, I'll take you, because that 15-minute drive of just talking or listening to music, just hanging out together, her and I, is important. And so those are like some of my non-negotiables that I like to do. And obviously I have my golf Wednesdays, and that's why when you ask me, you're like, hey, can you do a podcast on Wednesday?
It's like, nah, negative.
Yeah, I'm either traveling, or if I'm home, that's my golf day. That's a non-negotiable.
Where do you play at? Do you mind saying
I'm a member at Mesa Country Club. They're redoing the course right now, but then when they're shut down right now, we kind of play all over. We got a great group of guys I play with, and it's fun.
You don't like the 500 Club?
I'm a member. I play in their
Is
their
it
men's
good? I
league.
don't play golf. I was thinking about. I'm starting to get stronger, like because I tore my ligaments and tendons and everything. But I was thinking about getting into it. But is it a good? Is it a good?
It's a great course. Yeah, I mean they took care of it. The men's league is super fun. A lot of great guys in that as well. I like it for the competitiveness. I'm down to like a 5 handicap right now, which is pretty decent, almost scratch. And
Is that better than Biden?
Yeah, that's better than
What
Biden.
was
His best was 6.7.
What did
I
he
looked
say
it up.
on TV?
I literally looked it up on the gin.
Is that what he said? He was a 6 or an 8?
He literally was a 6. He was actually one of the best golfers in the Senate.
Was that like 70 years ago?
That was like 20 years ago. But yeah, I mean, he was a decent golfer. But I mean, today, oh God, the debates of the shit, dude. It's like we live in 300 plus million people in the world, and those are the people we get to pick from. And obviously, I'm going to go Trump's way or whatever it is. But it's like. And for people to still not watch that debate and still be like, oh, yeah, like, we're just going to do whatever. You have to live in a box, man, or your head's straight up your ass.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I say we live in a weird world right now.
Totally. Yeah, because you like in every area of your life, you have to make decisions, right? And you have to make a decision that affects your life and your family's life, right? And so it comes down to, will this decision be a positive impact on my family? Will it be a benefit impact on my family, on our community, stuff like that? Yeah. So I could probably get out there and golf better than Biden, possibly. Maybe not. I don't know.
I mean, 6 pretty low, bro.
I don't even know what that means.
That means like if you shoot 70, if par 72, you're shooting mid 70s a lot of the times.
I still don't know what that
That's
means.
like a small percent. Like that's like out of golfers, that's a 2 or 3% of all golfers are that.
Oh, so Biden was in a 2% club?
Yeah, 2 or 3% club of that good of golfers.
He told Trump he was still doing that, huh?
Yeah, there's no way, bro. He can't even walk off stage. You're gonna have his wife help him off stage when you watch it. Yeah, it's just one of those
that
like,
guy's crazy.
Holy shit, what's going on in our world right now?
He reminds me of, remember the robots like in the 80s where they were like boxy and square and were like,
right.
When they started breakdancing after the robot?
Yeah,
the robot. That's Biden, dude. Like he's like an 80s robot.
Yeah, it's
because the robots today are really good. I mean, these things are jumping and rolling.
Right, he can't do that.
No, the robots are badass today.
Even when they asked him in the interview, they're like, "Hey, do you feel like you need to take a test?" And he totally avoided the whole test question of like a competency test.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, no," he just avoided it. But to each his own, man.
Yeah.
I think regardless of who, political stance or whatever it is, you still got to go to work. But
you got to live your life still.
It does affect what you can afford.
All of it.
And the lifestyle that you can
affects
live.
a lot of things. It depends on your lifestyle,
Right.
If you want, if you like guns, if you like, you're a boy and you like girls, it affects you. If you have little daughters and you don't want grown men going in their bathrooms, it affects you. So there's a lot of things that
it's weird, man,
that are affected by the political view and the landscape of what's going on today.
Well, for people to think that that's okay, or even you know, like you just look at parents and they're sitting with their kids and I'm like, so you wake up every day and you're like, yeah, I'm fucking okay. Yeah, I raised that over there. Yeah, winning. That thing right there I raised. And like, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but I mean, holy shit. Like, at what point do you, like, it's just like, what the is wrong? I mean, like, I don't even have any words. Some people are like, oh, John, you're judgy, whatever. Well, no. It's somebody's got to say it on any chance they can. At what point do you look at your kid and go, what the fuck and what did I do wrong to where you think pink and random ass hair and all this shit and weird and like identifying yourself as a cat or a guy as a girl, whatever. It's like,
yeah.
You know, and I'm look, and I accept, look, but here's the thing. Weak parenting created that. And here's where I know for a fact that's that way.
Oh, I agree with you.
My mother, my biological mother, my brother decided that he wanted to be gay as he was about 21, 20. We kind of knew when he was younger. He just, you know, but my mom was soft on him, right? And then when he was going through like, oh, well, you know, I don't know how people are going to take it. I'm like, bro, you might as well announce it because you're going to find out sooner or later. Well, then he didn't like the way I said it. That's when I realized he was soft. Then I realized my mother coddled. So it's interesting to where like I could have resentment, but like she coddled him or whatever it was. But then you look at it, she didn't coddle me. She didn't ever step in when my stepdad was beating the shit out of me. She didn't ever step in and like have my back. But now she's trying to make up for the shit mistake where she didn't step in there. Now my son, but now he's the guy that's 6'4", 200 and something pounds, wearing mini skirts and eyeliners and weird shit. And you know what it was? I will 100% attribute that to weak ass parenting, to where you're trying to be your kid's friend and not upset them versus parent them, teach them structure. Like he's a smart kid. He was in accounting. Now I think he is like he's not a barista. He's a barista, you know, because he thinks he's a chick or I don't know what the fuck. I mean, it's just
do you have a
weird.
Relationship with what?
No, man, no. They got all weird. My stepdad passed away, and then my other brother is an engineer, and he obviously, when you're an engineer, like you're the smartest person in the room. And then my sister, she's a psychologist, and she
wants to tell everybody how to live their life.
She lives in a glass house, and I'm just like, and I was dealt this family.
You're like,
it's not that I don't love them and I don't consider them, but it's like where it comes back to the beginning is guarding of your time. Like I didn't adapt to their timeline of how shit was going to be done.
You were different.
You know, she forgot my biological mother forgot my daughter's birthday 3 years in a row. Okay, I didn't even get a birthday card this year. I don't give a shit about that. You know what I mean? It's just people get sympathy of whatever it is. And, you know, some people are like, man, how'd that make you feel? I'm like, well, I had 1,000 other people wish me happy birthday. Like, just because your family or whatever you think that are close to you don't go out of their way to do stuff. There were complete strangers that I've never met that went out of their way to wish me a happy birthday. Mm-hmm. That says more about them than it does about my family or whatever it is, where I could just be like, oh, well, they're not doing whatever. But I realized, and this is only as I've gotten older, and is that, wow, man, you've lived a lot of life, you had a lot of fun, but who do you want to, for the next 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, year, really give your time to? Because there's a lot of young bucks, people even in their mid-30s, I'm 44 now, even though I look like I'm 29.
You look good.
Thanks, man. But I wish I would have paid, if I was to tell any entrepreneur, I would have paid more attention to that than anything else of who I'm around, because a lot of people are dictated where their success is today. You know, we thought they were the cool. When we were younger, making $20 an hour was baller. You know what I mean? You're killing it at that, 20 plus years ago.
Chilling it.
And
How'd you
now
know it was that long ago?
And now you're like, shit, I got to make $200 an hour too.
Yeah, well, I got a lot of damn bills, bro.
You know, yeah, you got a lot of shit.
A lot of people to provide for, and
yeah, but you provided an opportunity, right? So for people, and that's the way. I mean, look at it as just if you get into sales or you get into whatever it is, if you have a skill set, does your skill set provide opportunities for people around you to win? And that's what why my coaching works. Is it provides opportunities for my clients to be better and to win, to make more money, but to just live life again and realize, like, if my dumb ass can do it, anybody can do it.
No, it's totally true. So you're coaching. It's Jon Storey coaching. What are you teaching? You know, without giving too much information, because you want you to go out there and buy his courses. You know, and but what are some of the topics you're teaching on? You know, because I hear your stuff, and you integrate a lot of life into that, you know, which is good, because sometimes when it's just learning, you want to we want to talk about life moments too to get that win. But what are some of the topics you're teaching on?
Well, when you look at real estate as a perspective of a whole, is that you get these panels of realtors that are out there. And there's big producers, so people will come listen to them speak. Number one, they never tell you what their overhead is. Number two, they never tell you how many assistants or what their costs or ROIs. They may say they do 30 million, but they might be bringing home a couple $100,000, which means their systems are broke, right? With the changes with all the real estate stuff, I teach people to build out an organic audience. Use social media as your friend. Use social media as like a book that you're writing about who you are, what's it like working with you, and what you get by working with you. So I teach them critical tasks. I have checklists for everything from open houses, just listed, just solds, mortgage people, onboarding people. But then I have step-by-step that walks them through like what each button does on social media and the functionality and why you would do things a certain way.
Yeah.
Because I tried to build it to where like I'm going to take the 90% of agents that can't afford the $5,000 a month coaching, but I can put it in subscription to where how much they want to work and how much they want to learn and implement, they can be as successful as they want.
So you're marketing to a lot of agents mostly? Real
estate industry professionals, anybody, insurance. You know, I do consulting for businesses, like kind of what you guys do on social and all that kind of stuff, to really teach you guys how to, you know, because there are a lot of people that are now realizing, like in the business, like, oh, I got to put out content, but 99% of you do it all wrong because you're listening to somebody, oh yeah, post all day and do all this shit, and that's not true. You know your audience. And it's really about the consumer, and it's about the touch. And it's funny because I just had Jordan Adler, who's the #1 guy in send out cards, on a Zoom with me today. And we just talked about like, well, so every client that you ever service, how many times do you send them a thank you card? How often? You should do it every month. Why? Because they already know what it's like to work with you. If you did a good job, they're your best referral source. In real estate, if everything works so great, how come 90% of everybody that's bought or sold a home uses another realtor? Because they put them in. Because all real estate agents are coached by other coaches is to automate your business. And I'm not an automation coach. I'm going, wake up at 5 a.m., create conversation, do this shit till this time. You'll never hear me say anything.
No, you're saying when they buy and sell a house, like, so they don't use the same realtor.
90% of every person that does it uses, why do you think Zillow's in place and Realtor.com took into place? And they're selling them back their own leads at a discounted rate.
Yeah.
You know, 35% of the income goes right back to Zillow because they don't know how to lead gen on their own. And now with like the no cold calling or, you know, hey, you know, the buying the lead shit sucks and, you know, it's so watered down, what are they going to do? Well, just go back to the basics, man. Create a good budget. Build off your SOI to get to their SOI. Do a lot of open houses. Do farming, traditional. Put out good content. But, you know, there's all these self-help gurus out there in real estate that are like, oh, this is how I got business. Well, unless you're doing 100 transactions a year like some of my clients do, then just sit down, Karen, and take a seat because your 15 deals that you closed this year ain't fucking shit.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of these people are teaching classes. Are like, oh, let me show you what I do. And I'm like, your content, it's literally, so if you came to somebody's page, like here's an example of anything in business, and every post was about real estate or their awards, would you actually want to watch their shit? Or would you rather watch where they're like, here I am on a trip, and here I am enjoying my life, and here I am helping a family achieve their #1 goal, which is purchasing a home. Instead, real estate agents are like, oh, I was voted #1, or I was #1 in the office, or look at me and all these people that, instead of being like, dude, what an opportunity and awesome experience it was to help these people. They don't ever do it that way. I coach that way.
Yeah, show who you are. That way you're more...
it's relationship.
Yeah, more relationship based. So you said the law passed where there's no more cold calling in the real estate industry. Is that only the real estate industry?
As far as I know, I mean, there's so many things that the people will find the loopholes around, right? Yeah. I think you should never have to cold call anyways if you know how to build relationships, but they want the easy way out. So they'll pound the phones, but they won't do open house. It's interesting. But what happened is where an NAR came in and now commissions, you know, they talked about real estate commissions.
Who came in?
The National Association of Realtors, but then the DOJ came in.
Okay.
So they went after all these top coaches that were in these, you know, they were going to their seminars not knowing they were getting recorded, okay? about how they will not list your home unless you give them 6%. Like a lot of these big real estate brokerages got in trouble for it. They're getting sued for it, and that's why they settled. You know, NAR settled, MLS settled, and there's a lot more back end to it. But all these people are like, "Oh, I'm protected by my brokerage."
That's where they're getting rid of that. Now it has to be kind of like a negotiated rate, right?
So rates. So your commission has always been negotiable, but the consumer was basically
3
unaware.
and 3. Yeah,
well,
you can.
So
I've done deals where I've done 1% or 1% plus a fee. You know, if it's someone you know and they're or whatever. But yeah,
but
3% done them all.
So here's the way I explain it. I go, let's go back to 2008, 2009 when homes were, let's say, at foreclosure market and they're coming up, and you're getting 3%. And all realtors talk about inflation, right? So let's just do the inflation. So in 2008, 2009, your commission, let's say, was $4,500. So inflation has been 38% from 2008 to current. So add 38% to 4,500, you're at, say, $6,300. Okay, where the fuck does the other 14 grand come into play if we're adding what you're saying? So tell me what I'm getting for the extra $14,000.
You're talking about the fees.
What fees? Like, bro, welcome to being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Like, you don't go to one of your clients and go, "Hey, man, gas went up today, so I'm going to add another $500 to your fee." No, your fees are your fees.
Yeah, no, it's a fee once it's negotiated.
Supply and demand, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of consumers, where they came back was, I think there's a lot of fantastic real estate agents out there, and I think there's a lot of bad ones which ruined it for the good ones. It's like having that younger brother or sibling that kind of ruined it for you. I think there's a lot of fantastic teams. So it's not to me to badmouth that they're getting unpaid. I think some people should be paid 20 grand with the amount of value that they bring your service. But there's a lot of agents that are part-time moms and dads and shit like that. And there's too many part-time fucking moms in this industry, if you want my opinion.
There's a lot of part-time.
You know what I mean? Because they got the husbands that are working, they're doing their shit, and they need to stop, okay? And if you don't like it, I don't give a shit, because this is the reality, because you're the ones that are doing the disservice because you don't know what the fuck's going on. You have no budget for marketing. You're destroying the industry of where it is as a whole, where these people that treat it as a full-time industry job, I got much respect for them. They quit their job and did it. I got absolute more respect. There's some great teams, but the marketing, bro, like, they have no readily available information. They have no buyer's academy, seller's academy on YouTube that walks them through. So the number one consumer complaint was they don't know what's coming next. Well, you got to get on the phone, you got to get whatever. So the consumer felt like they were baited and switched, because where it went wrong is you look at the $1 million listing, LA, New York, whatever it is, and they're like, "Oh, we're making $200,000 on a sell." So they just put out this, like, just like we talked about, entrepreneurs, this glitz and glam, like everybody's going to sell a house for and make 200 grand off one shot. It's not true, man. You got to work. Like, my coaching is $125 a month.
You got to work your way up.
I work my ass off. My individual coaching is $1,500 a month, and I earn it. But you ask any of my clients, I give them everything that I have, and it's worth the money, right? So I just think I think it's great for the industry as a whole, because it's going to, even it out and different playing fields. But, some people can agree. Some people can say, "Oh, this is the stupidest shit ever." But I like it, man. I'm just confused where the other 15 grand is coming from when we include inflation. And when I ask a realtor, like, "Oh, well, I do all this and do all that." Great. So does everybody else. So what makes you different?
Do you think, like, part of that rule, that law change, big real estate brokerages didn't have a part of that? And here's why I'm in my mind, and I could be totally off. If someone's watching, you can correct me, because I have no clue. But, like, it's kind of like when, okay, I'll give an example, and then I'll go back to what I was talking about. When abatement, so when you had, like, asbestos, right?
Right.
So the asbestos was put out, the industry that, they found the asbestos was wrong was within the construction industry.
Correct.
It was found wrong and harmful, because they knew they could remove it.
Correct.
Eventually, right?
Yep.
The same thing with lead, because really a lot of people don't just go die of lead and asbestos.
Correct.
It's very, very, very few, right? The thing that's coming out that's been talked about in the construction industry is fiberglass insulation. So all they have to do is say that it's harmful. So, like, in these new builds or something. Right. So now you have to remove it from the project, right? Right. So who gets to remove it and replace it? The same industry. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah, it's very common. It's very similar. So
yeah. So what? Hold on, real quick. Sorry. And in my mind, I'm like, well, what if the big organizations created this, right? Because it'll take out the little guy real quick. Because there's not a set commission, so the bigger agents can go in and negotiate because they're strong, right? Like you said, they're full time.
yeah,
They're learning
the
the
full-time
game.
ones that have systems. Yes.
The part-time ones that need the 3%, right?
Yes,
but now it's
you are
taken
correct.
away from them, right? And so the good ones, they're going to get their money no matter what because they're going to be able to negotiate a rate. You know what? The customer says, well, there's no rate now. We don't have to pay 3. Well, you don't have to, but my fee's $7,200, which it really equals like 5%, whatever, right? And but they're good enough, like you said, they go out and do that old school marketing.
Yep.
The open houses. They're posting really nice pictures, photos, drone shots. By the way, Extreme Media does all that stuff, but at that those old school tactics is what you're saying is what wins the sale, right? But do you think, like in the back of your mind, that the big industries are part of that cause, or do you think it was just clearly government?
Well, I think any big brokerage enables their agents to say we have the best training, right? Every brokerage is going to do that. That's why there's so many of them. I just think it's a disservice to me personally, and people can agree or whatever it is they're doing part-time, but I know personally that there's a lot of fantastic full-time realtors, amazing teams out there in the industry that really truly do care. And I think that maybe there might be some part-times, but I think the part-time ones ruin it, like you're saying, a little bit more on that aspect, just because they're not full-time, they're not in it, they're working another job, and they may be trying to transition into real estate, but dude, you either do it or you don't. You know what I mean? You either, and I just think that they're trying to fix it, right? And so can they adjust? Can the smaller people that do the less amount of deals survive? No, I think you're right. The strongest will survive, and that's always how it's been. And, I would say names. There are some big, great agents in everywhere that I go, and the service that they give is top notch provided, and they're saying the same things that I'm saying. It's like, dude, we kind of got put in a situation, and what put them in the situation was social media. All these agents out there going, oh, I'm a top 1% agent, but you made $100,000. But if you take that same entity and go to like a California in Beverly Hills, bro, you're like you're
Nothing.
like 80%. You're not even top 1%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like we live in this smoke and mirrors mentality of what real estate created, to where it's like, who gives a fuck if you're top 1%? How many people did you help this year?
Yeah.
How many lives did you change personally by doing your job? Let's talk about that. Let's not talk about what you're ranked, because end of quarter just came out or whatever, and they're like, oh, I was ranked blah 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 in this percentage. Well, yeah, but that same number's in a different state isn't going to even hold a candle to where it is.
It's true.
And no one cares that you're silver, platinum, diamond, or whatever it is. They just want to know, who are you? What's it like working with you? And what do I get by working with you? And I think it's great. I think, it's going to even out the title and the mortgage industry and whatever it is. Like, I see title companies nonstop paying for shit, and mortgage companies doing the same, and realtors enabling that. So, you know what I mean? There's just a lot of things, but from my understanding, Steve Hawks is a buddy of mine out of Vegas, and we've had good conversations. So that's one name that I will drop. Steve Hawks is amazing to watch on this, but he's just like, dude, he's like, we're in a weird, in 2020, I predicted that I think that commissions would be restructured. And I had a client the other day who was like, bro, I was listening to one of your, interviews and you were, in 2020, you were talking about, hey, at some point in some years, this has got to even out. And here we are. Because when the home prices went so high, the homeowner's now like, wait a minute. So I bought a house, my home price went, now I got to pay you more because my house went up to do the same job you'd have done if it was a $200,000 house. Yeah. That's what the confusion is right now. Does that make sense?
I sold the house for like, I paid a lot of damn commission.
Right.
I was like, what the
Yeah, and then they probably never disclosed it was all negotiable and you didn't have to pay this.
No, I knew it was negotiable, but it's still.
But they didn't disclose it, so you knew, but they didn't disclose it. They didn't have you sign a form saying,
not.
"Hey, dude, you can."
The rates come out automatically on like that's.
But now the form's coming out.
Yeah.
So now the form's coming out to where they have to say, "Chris, man, we're going to sell your house. You got to pay me $60,000." But it's negotiable.
Now, does this make it an even playing field for, say, that smaller person? Because now everyone's got to kind of work just as hard.
If you work, it doesn't matter what your big name company is
or
behind.
Being creative.
It's just how your work ethic is, the service you provide, you know, the quality. Like for me, I'm not the biggest coach in the nation. I think I'm a great coach at what I do. But I like to help people, man.
Yeah.
And I'm not the bait and switch. I'm not the glitz and glam, like, hey, we're going to do all the shit. Look, dude, if you want to make some money, I'm your guy. But that's where I leave it at. You know what I mean? You've got to implement it. Where a lot of people are like, oh, I bought this program, and then they're selling me on this shit, and they're selling me on that. Like, that's where they make their money, is the back end. You know? And
the upsell.
I think it's going to be interesting for the people that are in the community of buying leads, or in the Zillow world where they have to give 35% of their commission right away, and then they're on a team where they have to get 50-50 after that. So they're getting 30%, but now if that 3% goes to 2%, so instead of getting 10 grand, you know, 9 grand, you're getting 6, and then that's 35% gone. You're getting half of that. You're making $1,500 a closing.
Yeah, so it's leveling playing field, which I think it creates more competition, better competition. Because then you say the cream rises to the top.
Yes.
Who's really good and who really isn't.
Yes.
Who's been on someone's coattails for years.
Yeah, and a lot of people are in panic. A lot of teams are in panic, and they're trying to figure out, like, dude, what do I do? Like, how do I position myself? And it's always been, if you'd have just done what I told you, relationship.
Just keep it old school.
But social media has ruined to put eyes in front of people to where the consumer gets. It's just no different than anything else. Like, we talk about the debate that just happened. I mean, it's no different. We literally watched it visibly with our eyes, somebody on stage that couldn't complete a fucking sentence.
Yeah.
So that's basically where the real estate community...
But when for like 2 years, the other news, all the news entities, Democratic, would say, oh, no, he's fine, that's fake news.
And now they're just coming at him.
Well, because there was nowhere to hide.
Yeah, right.
Well, they couldn't hide it. The whole world's seen it. Now they want to get rid of him.
Yeah, it's just... it's survival of the fittest, man. Like I said, I think there are some absolutely fantastic people in the industry. And, you know, I talk a lot of shit or whatever it is, and people will say that, oh, man, he's always saying whatever. But you know what? I do. But it's to ruffle the feathers of the people that don't do their job.
No, the people need it. We need to get smacked and spanked and told we suck. Like, my wife tells me I suck like every day. It's terrible. Like, I got battered husband syndrome. That's what I tell her. But I think, like, for those part-time agents, okay, if you're watching and you do want to step up your game, hire this guy. Pay for his service. What'd you say it was? $130 a month?
$125 a month.
See, it's even cheaper. You got $5 off. $125 a month. You get to learn from an industry expert and learn how to take your game to the next level, right? You know, maybe something you haven't learned, now maybe it's time, okay, I'm going to go on my own. I'm going to go full time. I remember when I went full time from a job. It was in 09, 08, 09. It was hard, right? But I was like, well, shit, I ain't got nothing anyways. I'm broke. You know, I'm all jacked up, right? And it's like, we might as well just do it. We'll be broke for another 6 months, and I'll just grind and grind and grind. And when you're broke and you got no other option, the only option is to get out there and do it.
Yeah, I mean, people will work so hard when they don't have the money. Well, why don't you have the same mentality the entire time?
That's what I mean.
Like, wake up every day like you are broke.
And just go out there and
you'll be fine.
it.
And that's what I do. I'm always hunting and you know, out there. But I mean, everybody's capable of doing whatever. It's just determine the life that you want. Like, you're like, hey, I like a Ferrari. I don't want a Ferrari. Okay, great. I think we just need to be in this world. We can agree to disagree. And there's a lot of things that people might agree with me on this with our interview, or they might not disagree. But I think in real reality, we have to face our bullshit versus just like hiding behind it. And that's
true, totally true.
Which will make you more relatable to people. You know, like, I wanted to come on here and you know, it's first time kind of talking about it, because my oldest, you know, her mom died. Her mom was a drug addict and alcoholic, you know, and she died, you know, almost 3 years ago. And, you know, so when I was younger and people were like, oh, I was a single mom or whatever, and you're fucking yapping at people, whatever. Well, dude, I was a full-time single dad, but you didn't see me posting about it. I just went to work, did my job. And where I lost myself is I thought I was providing a good life for my daughter by showing her work ethic. And I lost out on all these years that we could have been on vacation, and I could have created a better relationship. So I learned from Macy to not do that with my other littles that I have with Savannah and Colby, and to make that a non-negotiable, because you will never get time back. But you can never get time back, but you can always create memories with time.
Memories are crucial, and I think you got to log those memories. Take a lot of pictures, a lot of photos.
Yeah, I mean, we do it all the time. We have a great time.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, so I was watching one of your posts, and you were selling a car. What was it, like an Impala or something?
Yeah, 6'4" Impala.
What happened with that Impala?
So Yeah, crazy story, man. So I put it out there in this forum, and I'm like, hey, I got this car, and give me your critiques or whatever it is. And this guy's like, hey, man, you got some information on it? I'm like, yeah, my phone number's in the post. I'm in Vegas doing a speaking engagement, and pretty cool story because the guy's like, hey, I got a buyer who's really interested, and he's like, hey, I'll pay X, Y, Z, and I'm like, well, this is what it is, and everybody's like, well, I got cash. I'm like, I don't care if you get cash or if you get a loan, it's still comes out to the same dollar amount, right?
Yeah.
So I get back from there, and literally I told him,
I hate that thing. I got cash. Like,
yeah,
dude,
and literally
the price is the price.
Yeah, and I get
Freaking
back.
use food stamps. Double it up though.
Yeah, I get back. I tell him when I'm gonna be there, and within an hour he's calling me. So obviously they're interested. He's like, hey man, I'm doing this. I'm like, hey, I thought about it. It's obviously an athlete or whatever it is, and maybe if we get tickets or whatever, we can figure something out. Or, just cool of who it is would be awesome. And he finally he's like, yeah, he's like, it's Nate Diaz.
So you're talking about the MMA fighter,
Nate
the
Diaz.
one that just boxed this weekend?
Jorge Masvidal. Yeah. And so I'm like, yeah, dude, that's dope. Like, I would totally sell it to Nate knowing that it's going to a cool person. Because regardless you sell it, whatever, there's always a story behind it.
Yeah.
So we negotiate. Then, then Jamie, that's his buddy, and I start building a relationship, rapport, whatever it is. Go out, go to his last fight, get VIP service, super cool. Hanging out with Nate, Nate Diaz is probably one of the dopest human beings you'll ever meet. Like, just down to earth, went out of his way to tell people all the time, like, hey, make sure Jon's taking care of whatever he needs. I got him tickets. Jamie did the same thing, his crew. I mean, you're talking just guys that, he had probably a million other people asking for stuff.
Yeah.
But everywhere I went, when Jamie would be like, oh, this is the guy that, sold Nate his car and got it, they already knew the story. Like Nate had already said, it's just, for a guy in that caliber to take that time to be a good human being, and, online he is what it is. He is a cool dude. And, people, like when I bought the car, my buddy's like, why would you buy that? But now he's like, bro, everything happens for a reason. Like so, you get off that 6'4" Impala, I sold one of my custom Harleys that I just built to a guy that sold his business to LA Fitness for $150 million.
Dang.
So, like, people say, well, why you buy cars and that? Well, guess who else likes nice shit?
Wealthy people.
Okay.
Smart people.
And they use it as props, they use it as marketing, and they use it for their hobbies, habits, interests. They're not just going to go buy like a basic car. That's why I drive Too Short's old Ferrari, and he put bags on it and new rims and the carbon fiber, and all the other stuff on it because didn't want it to look normal. So it's just, I think proximity is everything, man. But yeah, the 6'4" Impala, man, it was funny because when I got it back, it was getting AC put in it. I almost had like seller's remorse. And then I realized who it was going to, and I'm like, that is probably one of the...
It's a good story.
Dude, he's one of the coolest guys you can ever meet. I mean, and his crew is... They're as cool as you see online, man.
Hey, and you were at the fights. I seen you at the fights. How were the fights?
Amazing. Yeah, there were some really, really, really good fights. And it's funny because some of the boxers now, their sons were fighting on it. Like Sugar Shane Mosley and Vargas. I met Vargas. Yeah, Fernando, I was talking to him. And I said, gosh, I feel dated when we're talking to you because, when you were coming up, and he's, I think, 3 or 4 years older than I am. And we were just laughing about it. But these are guys, that fought for world champions, just cool guys, a lot of UFC guys that are, really awesome. A lot of celebrities in the crowd that were there, and just a really cool experience, man. That I think, I know for a fact that if I didn't take the initiative to invest into myself and be where I'm at today, I would never be able to tell you that story.
Totally true.
So the best thing I would tell people is it's not that I drive a Ferrari. It's not that I have whatever. It's not, money wise, whatever. I am so focused on, I have some of the coolest ass memories in my life at 44 years old that most people will never have in an entire lifetime because they can't get out of their own way.
That's huge.
And if that was to relate to anybody, it's not like, hey, leave, you're going to be this big entrepreneur and drive Ferraris and have all this shit or whatever it is. It's no, dude, work will always be there. Life is never replaceable. The memories are awesome. And like, I just have the coolest stories that I've developed over the last, I would say, 4.5 to 5 years. And that's where I tell about the Sunday Fun Day thing, stopping on, doing that 4.5 years ago, whatever it is, and not doing, pool days and then waking up Monday, like, groggy is like, it's just awesome when people like, I'm going to go back home and people are going to be like, oh, bro, we saw you. Like, I can't tell how many people were texting me when I was at the fight, or like, oh, bro, I saw you, or man, that's amazing, or holy shit, Nate gave you tickets. And then, you know, there's a story behind it. And I told a story leading up to the event, like, hey, I saw the thing, I'm going to this fight.
Yeah.
You know, and the people that watch it there, you know, some people are like, that's crazy. But now Nate and I are cool. You know what I mean? Probably
the experience.
Going to go to
like
next fight and hang out. And yeah, it's an experience, but it's a memory that I shared with one of my really good buddies too. And he was like, thank you for sharing, because he was blown away. You know what I mean? It's just, you can't replace that. You know what I mean? So it's just, if anything, if anybody's listening, I mean, and watching or whatever, it's just like, dude, it's not rocket science. But when you build your life, don't build it for money and all the shit. Build it to where you have money that will create badass memories.
Yeah. And challenge yourself. Put yourself out there. You got to put yourself out there. Don't be timid. Don't be afraid. You know, I know so many people that are afraid to ask questions or afraid to go up on a stage or whatever it is, right? Just do it. I mean, you're going to bomb the first few times. And, you know, my father-in-law tells a story when he was like changing his life and his mindset and stuff like that, you know, to a more positive mindset. He's a pastor. And he said he would go to so he was younger, he'd go to the Biltmore area and then just start talking to wealthier people, start having conversations, open a door from, learning how they talk, learning how they walk, putting himself out there, you know. So we had to put ourselves out there, you know. Hey, but what have you thought of, like maybe going and trying to fight in Too Short and getting a picture with him in the car?
So we already have that negotiated into the deal.
Nice.
So I get concert tickets if I ever want to fly out there through that. So that was one of the negotiations of buying his car too.
Yeah.
So I learned that from the experience of selling the Impala. So I was like, hey, if I buy this, do I get
some leverage?
Yeah. So you know, there's always something that you can. There's two ways to skin a cat, is what they say. You know. So.
And the worst case that'll happen is someone will say no. But the best case scenario is they say yeah, which is highly likely.
Well, here's, I like how you say it. The worst that somebody's going to say is no. Best thing somebody's going to say is yes. How come more people don't say yes to themselves more, and they say no to more opportunities? And, you know, we live in this limelight of this glitz and glam or whatever it is, and half the people are full of shit. I was full of shit for half of the time and where it is. I lost myself as a human being. I wasn't happy with whom I was. I thought about fucking jumping off that bridge a few times, you know what I mean? Even though people think that you're like killing it in life, because not only did I tell you this, it's fucking stressful to get to the top, and you lose a lot of people and you don't see where it's going to go. But at the end of the day, I'm telling you, man, if you can fucking bust through that thing, I'm the happiest that I've ever been in my life.
That's awesome.
Not everything in my life is perfect, but I tell you what, man, I got some of the greatest human beings around me now, and it took 44 fucking years to get there.
Yeah.
So people may think you have great friends or whatever it is. I'm telling you, it took 44 years. And that may change in another 10 years from now.
It ain't changing, bro. The best is yet to come. You got 44 more years.
But it's
imagine what these
awesome.
next 40 years are going to look like. You know what I mean? I mean, because the trajectory is only going one direction.
Yeah. It's always
and it's only up to you to either destroy it or keep that thing on flight.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So in order to keep that thing on flight, you got to fuel that rocket.
Right.
You know, and that's the problem is we get lazy as people and we stop putting that fuel in. You know what I mean?
Well, I got help. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I got in the industry what I'm in. Like, I think people will go through things like where I tell you guys I was down in the dumps, whatever it is. I got help, man. Like, you're not too big of a man or too tough or whatever it is to not take advice from somebody to be like, bro, I'm hurting here and I'm hurting here and I'm hurting here. And, you know, a lot of people will disguise their hurt through success or something else that they've done, which I was.
Yeah.
And I had to slow down and, dude, kids and life. But I'm just telling people, man, it's just too much glitz and glam out there. Yeah. Just keep it simple, keep it fun.
I love it.
Let it rip.
And I appreciate you telling me to make some time with my kids, my family. I like that idea.
Non-negotiables.
I love that idea.
Your son likes that idea. He's sitting here listening to me film this podcast knowing he's going to get a free fucking lunch every week.
He's not my son, it's Antonio. He wishes he was my son, though.
Well, he can be. He's like family.
Yeah, he's like family. I'll kick his little ass. Nah. I appreciate you coming on the show, man. This is good chat. Everybody, you got to get his coaching. Like, this guy's top tier. $125 a month to get your game to the next level, especially with these new laws and stuff. To take your agency or your future agency or just sell more houses. Contact this guy. like, you know, hit him up on Facebook, on Instagram. He's all over. You're on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, I'm
You're
all over.
everywhere.
You see it right there. Yeah. I mean, it's everywhere you're active on. And
get the coaching. I can't say it enough. I've had lots of conversations with him now. He's not full of shit, you know. And the Ferrari, he does have the Ferrari, but he's not braggadocious. I think it's a tool. The Ferrari's a tool.
It's marketing.
And it's a great tool. It's no different than a construction guy having freaking good saw or something.
Right.
That's a tool.
Yeah.
Right. It's what it is, you know. So get his stuff, follow him, like and subscribe to everything he's doing. And one last nugget, John, to the listener out there, leave him one last nugget, bro.
Write down what makes you happy, write down what makes you sad, and fix it.
Fix it.
That's it.
Plain and simple. Fix it. You have the opportunity to fix your own life. Like, why are you waiting? Get out
100%.
there, make something happen, and the best is yet to come. Be blessed.